Okay, on the Tom Massey, President Trump blow up today, here's what's going on. And I'm going to try to explain this as plainly as possible so we deal with, again, transactional politics. I'm a +1, -1 guy on the spreadsheet. I have defended Congressman Massey in the past. If you watch my shows, you know that. In this case, in my humble opinion, I'm going to throw that out there in the beginning because I owe it to you. I don't think he's correct. And here's why. They have this thing called the continuing resolution. Basically, the reconciliation bill that Donald Trump is going to be President Trump and the Republican Congress plans on using to do all kinds of wonderful things. Secure the border, reinforce our military, cut taxes, all of that stuff. That is not what this is. That reconciliation bill, the process has just begun. It's not even close to done. I'll get to that in a second because it's going to matter. This continuing resolution, which would continue government spending effectively at its current levels, maybe a little more, is, yes, everybody agrees, is not what we want. Folks, it does very little to cut government spending. Everybody understands that. Nobody's lied about it. Everybody's saying this is not great. So you may be saying to yourself, okay, well, Massey's right. Massey's saying, we have to stop this right now. We are not spending this amount of money. I'm voting against it. The problem is, while that is a nice theory and a correct one that we should slow down government spending dramatically before we go bankrupt, eventually you need a plan to enact it. It's like saying, you know what, listen, I want to rush for 200 yards in this football game on Sunday, and you're the running back. That's a great plan and a laudable goal, and everybody thinks that's fantastic, and they agree with it. The problem is you've got a broken ankle and you can't play. You can think that all you want, but it's not a realistic plan. So the problem I have with Massey's, I don't have a problem with his end goal. Let's cut government spending at all. He's correct. The problem is the mechanics of what he's trying to do requires actual oil and gears, and he doesn't have them. He doesn't have the votes. You need a majority of the House of Representatives. He's by himself on the Republican side. He doesn't have the votes. In other words, there are Republicans out there who unfortunately have said, we're kicking this can down the road until we get to reconciliation. There's no votes. So you may say, well, Dan, well, at least we should take a stand. Okay, let me walk you through what happens then. We, quote, take a stand on this, on the CR, which is a bad bill. I get it. You don't need to tell me anywhere, comment. I agree. There's no need to remind me that the levels of government spending are catastrophic. I did about, a 20-minute segment yesterday on my radio show, how we are going de facto bankrupt. You are correct. The problem is I live in the world as it is, not in the world as it should be. I said the same thing with the ouster of McCarthy. We need a plan. We need a plan. For you to oust him without a plan made no sense. And then people beat me up and then realized later on I was right. You need a plan. The problem with this plan is, let's say every Republican right now, every Republican were to say, we are against this thing, it's too much government spending. Yes, unity, that's great, awesome. They're against it and they get a different bill. We have the numbers to get a different bill that dramatically cuts spending. Great, move it to the Senate. Then what happens? Why is the bill going to go down in the Senate? Because we don't have enough votes to overcome a filibuster. So, Dan, what you're saying is the Democrats still have power to scuttle this thing? Yes. So if Massey scuttles this thing and say him and a couple other Republicans say no, the Democrats are going to go to Speaker Johnson and Senator Thune and say, hey, we'll give you some votes, but we want this. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm not telling you it's fun, it's cool, it's awesome. I'm telling you it sucks. You are correct. Unfortunately, the world sucks sometimes. The things about the world and politics suck. You've got to deal with the suck and find a way to overcome the suck. So, Dan, how do we overcome the suck? I'm glad you asked. Guy, am I driving people crazy with this? No, I'm not. That is the wrong answer, Producer Guy. Folks in the chat, do you want me to leave this here? Is this boring? Yes or no? Bongino. There is a plan. The way to get around Democrat obstacles is the reconciliation bill. Because if they use the reconciliation bill, which is not this bill, okay, thank you. Guy is wrong again. Guy is wrong again. Yes. Because if there is a path to fixing this thing, the reconciliation bill uses a process called reconciliation. So if we can just get there and be patient and deal with a few more months of this crap bill with government spending, we don't need to overcome a filibuster in the Senate. All we need is a majority using reconciliation, where we can actually implement the DOGE cuts.
But I just, if I may address one issue. You just denigrated Bongino's law enforcement credentials. He was a cop and a Secret Service agent. You denigrated his academic credentials. He has a master's degree.
Just because he was a police officer doesn't make him qualified to run a 38,000-person, $11 billion budget agency, just like Pete Hegseth.
But you know what does? Because he,
National Guardsman or whatever he was, doesn't either. Thank you for your service.
The confidence and the pleasure of the president.